It's Impact with the Florida Star, the largest, oldest, and most read African American newspaper in Northeast Florida and South Georgia. And now, here's the host.
This is Opio, and I am sitting in for Clara McLaughlin. We got a great show lined up for you today. Of course, we're going to be talking about police issues, okay? And I actually have a guest that's calling in. And so y'all make sure y'all stay tuned for that. But make sure you listen to watch 18.2. Great programming going on. And also continue to pick up a copy of the Florida Star newspaper. I got my guy in here. What's going on, brother Roy? Is it Akachi?
Akachi.
Yes, sir.
Prince Grizz Akachi. My rebirth.
Yes, sir. All right now. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to have our guest on for 15 minutes, but we're going to talk about the Ferguson effect. And then after that, we're going to talk about Mr. Vernell Bing, who was shot by JSO. We're going to talk about some of the developments that have come out of that. And make sure that you are continuing to be up on that information there. The Ferguson effect, the term referring to what its proponents claim is a causal link between protests of the use of excessive force by police, especially those in Ferguson, Missouri, and increases in crime rates in the number of major U.S. cities due to police forces being subject to heightened levels of scrutiny. Back in the day, they called that the blue flu. Right now, we have a attorney on, and he is going to talk a little bit about that. His name is Lance LaRusso. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Mr. LaRusso? Mr. LaRusso, how you doing, sir?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing right. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, LaRusso. LORUSSO.
All right. So when they talk about the Ferguson effect, they used to call that the blue flu. Am I right? Where police officers
two very different things.
Okay, so the police officers, they feel like they're being scrutinized, or they feel that something is going on that they don't like from the government, and so they have sort of a work stoppage or a work slow down. That was called the blue flu. So this is different than that.
Right, the blue flu actually was people actually laying out of work, just not coming in at all. And for instance, the Fraternal Order of Police will not sign a contract allowing anyone to do that, any law enforcement officer to do that. So it's a very different thing. The Ferguson effect people are talking about, and there's a real question as to whether or not it exists, is people looking at the amount of enforcement that you're seeing absent officers answering calls. And there are people making the allegation that the Ferguson effect is happening because there's a rise in violent crime in certain cities.
Build that out a little bit more. Okay, so since we're calling it the Ferguson effect, this also means that is taking on something broader than just something that's happening in Ferguson. Am I right about that?
Well, I don't know really how to answer that. I mean, the bottom line is it's a name, it's a media name essentially given to a theory. It was proposed that after the events in Ferguson, after all the large police presence had left, that the active patrols that officers were getting into, and that not just driving through a community, the presence of a police car may deter criminal activity, but I'm talking about actually going out and making stops, also sitting and talking to people on the corner, going in, meeting with shopkeepers, stuff like that. The allegation was that the police presence was diminished. And because the police presence was diminished in Ferguson and in other cities, Baltimore included, back to the Freddie Gray incident, that it was leading to higher incidents of violent crime.
Okay, so this does it mean that they're feeling like they're not allowed to do their job, or is that they're feeling, and when I'm talking about the police officers, or is their feeling that because they can't brutalize citizens, then they're just not going to do what they usually do to keep the community safe, and therefore it's just going to be open season on everybody and crime is just going to be rampant?
Oh, did you say because they can't brutalize them?
Yeah, that's my feeling. Because their normal operation has been to brutalize citizens, particularly in certain neighborhoods and communities.
Well, I disagree with that, and I abjectly reject that. And the statistics don't bear out what you're saying.
So the statistics don't bear out that police officers go into black communities and they actually brutalize citizens. The statistics.
No, it doesn't. If you find instances of that, the people that are being arrested for that and prosecuted are being arrested and prosecuted by law enforcement. But there is no epidemic of that where you can blame an entire department and paint law enforcement across the United States with a broad brush like that.
So when we say 1,000 people have been killed by the police and there's a large percentage are black, your feeling is it just kind of happens that way. It's not really because police officers are doing the wrong thing. And then when we see like something happen very locally, a person jumps out of his vehicle limping away from the police, and police just execute him, and we see this over and over and over again. Somehow that really is just kind of all isolated incidents. Over 1,000 at this point is isolated incidents, you believe?
Well, first of all, law enforcement officers make 11 to 12 million arrests a year. So when you're talking about 1,000 people that are shot and killed by law enforcement, that is a very small percentage of not only the arrests, but also if you multiply that, if you look at the International Association of Chiefs of Police and other groups, they've estimated that for every arrest, you have 6 to 10 law enforcement encounters. But getting back to the question of how many, as you said, minorities are shot and killed by law enforcement, there was a study done by a professor at University of Cincinnati, criminology professor, looking at PCR statistics for 2009 through 2012, so that's 4 years inclusive. He found that 120 black males were shot and killed on average by police during that every year. He also found that 162 black males during those 4 years, average, were shot and killed by private citizens unrelated to the police and justifiable homicide. But also, which is upsetting to everyone, he found that an average of 4,166 black males were shot and killed or killed in other ways in criminal activity unrelated to the police.
Okay.
So when you're talking about threats to black males, and I absolutely object to your characterization of policing and active enforcement of the law as brutalizing. When you're looking at the statistics, it does not bear out accuracy.
So how do you account for black males being, say, 6% of the population, and what percentage of them are killed by the police versus white males who are a much larger percentage of the population? What percentage of them are killed by the police?
Well, black males are not 6% of the population.
What percent of the population are black males?
Depending on the communities you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the United States.
But you're not talking about across the United States.
I am talking about across the United States.
How many police shootings have there been in Omaha?
I'm talking about across the United States. What percentage of black
males? You can't
males?
generalize statistics like that because you turn them into something meaningless. If you look,
I can generalize statistics like that because that's what you did. Okay.
No.
Well, let's talk about it. What percentage of black males are killed by the police versus white males that are killed by the police? I tell you what, a better statistic: the percentage of white male police officers that kill blacks versus black male police officers that kill white citizens. You know that statistic?
Let's back to your previous question. You said 1,000 people are killed every year by police.
No, I'm not saying 1,000 every year. I'm saying they're saying like 1,100 this year have been killed by the police.
Okay, and I'm telling you about a 4-year period where on average 120 were black males. So if 1,000 people are killed every year and 120 are black males, how are you making the argument that it's a high percentage of black males in relation to
No, we're talking about 1,000. When we talk about 1,000 people killed by the police, you may think that's a small number, but that's not a small number. That's a big number. Okay, and then again, you still haven't answered my question about whites killing black citizens versus black cops killing white citizens.
1,000 people are killed every year by law enforcement.
I didn't say 1,000 killed every year. I'm talking about 1,000 that were killed by police officers this year.
Black males were killed out of that 1,000. So your premise that a higher percentage of black males were killed than white males is absolutely incorrect.
That's not incorrect. You need to go back and look at your statistics. That's what you need to do, number one. Number two, you still haven't dealt with the issue of black males being killed by white cops versus black cops killing whites. You know that statistic?
No, I don't.
I know you wouldn't know that, because those are the type of things that don't fit into the white world scenario. Y'all wouldn't know stuff like that. And then when you talk about shootings, we're not just talking about shootings. We're talking about people being brutalized by the police. Look at the prison population. What percentage of the prison population are black males? Look at how drug laws are actually created. They're created using black males to put the white population into hysteria. And then when you talk about black males, you're talking about a people that do drugs the same as whites, but somehow they end up in the prison population more than whites. Now, what accounts for that? Other than an apartheid system where you got white judges, white police officers, white public pretenders, white prosecutors, you have an apartheid system. Now, are you going to disagree that the drug war have targeted black people? Are you going to disagree with that?
Yes, and in fact...
Well, I'm going to tell you why you can't disagree with that, because Ehrlichman just came out, and said that the Nixon administration specifically said that they are targeting black people. That's a specific thing. They specifically said that...
You need to let us ask questions.
Answer the question.
You want to just talk. If you want to talk on a radio station by yourself, then that's what you are about to be doing.
Well, I can about to be doing that because you're not about to be answering questions correctly, because it doesn't fit into your little scenario. Anytime somebody bring up the drug war and racism, people like you don't really want to talk. You want to try to figure out other ways to get out of it, but you don't want to deal with the real issue. The real issue is there's a racist drug war. You have racism all the way throughout the criminal justice system, and people like you want to come on and be sneaky and slick and don't even know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And you don't want to say what is so evidently true across the board that everybody's already knowing, everybody's talking about. Now, it's true that Ehrlichman said that the Nixon administration specifically targeted black people and they used the drug war to do it. We already know that the drug war, all you got to do is look at the congressional reports. They use certain types of language and not just dog-eared, but sometimes they are very outwardly spoken, and they talk about black people being used to, and see, now you hung up, because this is how you have to deal with people like that. You're talking about black people actually being used, and so people like that, they want to try to figure out ways to go around what the real issues are and act like it somehow is somehow there is no racism within the criminal justice system, and there's no racist police officers out there that are targeting black people, and somehow when I mention white police officers killing blacks versus black police officers killing whites, they just really want to talk about that. Come on, man, get out of here. You're inferior. You're not talking to somebody that's just gonna yes, I'm ballsy. I hear what you're saying. Oh yeah. You ain't talking to nobody like that. Okay? You ain't talking to nobody like that. So get out of here. See, that's what happens when a more superior knowledge is on the scene with a racist. They get out of there.
Yeah.
Turn the heat up.
Turn
the heat up. All right, let me go to a break. We come back. I got the professor in here again this weekend. I got my man Roy Akachi. You're listening to Impact, and this is Opio.
Read the Florida Star and learn how to receive city health and community services. The Florida Star received the first Eagle Award by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for being most factual. The Florida Star solely addresses issues of concerns for African Americans. The Florida Star carries local, state, national, and international news regarding African Americans. Subscribe today at 904-766-8834. The Florida Star.
This is Opio, and you're tuned into Impact. Make sure you pick up a copy of the Florida Star newspaper. We got some really, really good articles in there. You definitely don't want to miss some great things in the community going on. In the studio, I got Eddie Professor back again this week. Also, Prince Grizz Akachi.
There you go.
Right by our side over here.
Good evening.
We're going to talk about police and we're going to talk about the criminal justice system. We're going to keep it up. What's interesting is there's more cops are being charged now because people are fighting back. What's going on? And we just saw this police officer named Raha. He walked up to this guy was supposed to be this real popular drummer. He flipped his car on the side of the road. It was 3 a.m. And thank goodness this guy was on the phone with 911 when this police officer pulled up. The police officer used this as an opportunity just to shoot a black man. He pulls up and then he asks, "Are you okay?" The guy said, "Yeah, I'm okay." "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." Then the guy starts giving him demands, and then he just starts shooting him. And then he paused and he shot him again. He did not know the guy was on the phone 911 because they caught the whole thing. When he reported it, he lied about it. Boom, caught. And just think about the number of people, brothers, that are killed out there. Nobody knows anything about. But it used to happen back in the day. They would kill or stick a police dog on somebody, and nobody said anything about it. Nobody went to jail. But that's coming to an end.
Here's a theory. Okay, 70% of all black-on-black homicide are still out there, still unsolved. How do we know that they're really black-on-black homicide? You understand what I'm saying? For it to be taking place so often in the same places in the inner city, where we have problems and issues with the police officers. You never know. You can't put nothing past them. And then you got people, they want to straddle the fence. They don't want to take a side because they're worrying about who they'll offend. We've been on Facebook
until it happens to them or their family members.
Or their son or their daughter.
You're going to have 70% of black people going to kill black people. 70% of white people going to kill white people. 70% or 80% of Chinese people going to kill Chinese people. Those type of things will happen. But what percent of government kill black people? What percent of the people you paid to protect you going to kill you? Right? Or they're going to disrespect you. Now we come from a system that has been wrought with racism. I think we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes. This is Sister Johnson.
Hey, Sister Johnson.
Hi there. First of all, I think the radio show is a blessing to the entire community because it gets the true word out. But what I want to say is that with policemen, we are dealing with issues of the heart like Cain and Abel. For some reason, it's programmed in them and programmed in their spirit to just not like people of color, especially African Americans, because of our background. They brought us over here, so they just think that we should just always be beneath them. So the attitude exists because of that spirit that comes from the past. But only God can deal with issues of heart. So you can't make somebody love you or like you. So that's where it's coming from. Only prayer can change that. That's where it's stemming from. It's stemming from that. We don't want to face it because they're trained and brought up. The next generation are taught the younger millennials to do the same thing with young cops in their 20s and 30s. Where's that coming from? But it comes from their parents. So that spirit is being passed down to not have respect for the African American man because they know they stole our gold, they stole our diamonds, the guilt trip, and they just want to make us feel below because they stole everything from us. We would have been wealthy if they hadn't stolen it.
And black people don't even want to talk about that. And what's interesting is when you talk about those who kill cops, it's a vast majority are white males that kill cops. That's the facts. That's the facts.
You are right. I heard what you told this police. I heard what you told us. But they don't want to face it. Our few black cops don't go around shooting white guys because we're a higher race and mentality and maturity that they done did us so wrong, but we're still trying to do them right. But they're not mature enough to do us right because they're not saved. They don't know the Lord. They don't want to know Him, half of them. So we're more mature than they are in the spirit. And God is going to bless us. And we're like a black guy toted the cross for Jesus. So that spirit is passed down also. They're persecuting us like the Lord because we're the Lord's people. We do a lot of worshiping with like the Jews, with cousins from anyway. With the hair, the look, the melon and everything. And so we're cousins to the Jews. So we're highly blessed and favored. And so we're going to teach our boys and push how to handle when they run into that spirit or that policeman. We need to push on how to handle the situation.
That's right. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
This is what I think. I think for one, race, it started at home. Racism is a learned behavior.
Yeah.
I had a talk with a guy one night, close friend of mine, white guy. And he had a cousin that was in a white supremacist group. And he said the day that he seen 3 familiar faces, he knew it was bigger than just a white supremacist group.
Woo! All right, we about to go to a break. When we come back, we want you to finish that right there. Boy, oh, okay. Y'all know y'all don't want to go nowhere. All right, this is Opio. We'll be right back after this break. You're listening to
You
Impact.
know what media received the first Eagle Award by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for being the most factual? The Florida Star.
Yeah,
Do you know which media solely addresses issues of concern for African Americans? The Florida Star. Do you know which media carries local, state, national, and international news regarding African Americans? The Florida Star. Do you know the only media that carries a special section for our youth at home and the schedule for 3 black television networks? Now you know the Florida Star, Northeast Florida's largest, oldest, and most read African American newspaper, serving since 1951 in more than 200 locations. The Florida Star, news you can use, news you can trust, the people's choice, striving to make a difference. Subscribe today. Call 766-8834. That's 766-8834. Pick up the Florida Star in over 200 locations, or to have it delivered, call 766-8834. The Florida Star, speaking truth to power.
This is Opio, and we are back. Man, we got, that was just Eddie Stewart, the professor, and he was talking about the white supremacist organization, and we got my man, Prince Grizz Akachi, and his wife is in here. Beautiful wife is in here right now, all right? Go ahead and finish that thought right there.
Like I was saying, a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, which is a white guy, had a cousin that was a part of a white supremacy group. Let me backtrack. Like I said before, it's racism, prejudice is a learned behavior. You know, nobody coming out their mother womb saying, I hate niggas.
Right.
You know, but he said the day he seen 3 familiar faces at this group rally, he said it didn't dawn on him until the drive home. He was like, I knew those guys. They patrol our streets.
Wow.
So he seen 3 police officers that he'd see on a daily basis during their beat.
Wow.
So after we were done talking, the first thing I thought was this, and I couldn't sleep. Like I wanted to write some stuff down, you know what I mean, but it shook me so much to the point where I was angered. I was like, is this where it starts? So I say, are police families, is the KKK and white supremacy groups, are they breeding kids to become police officers, governors, mayors, senators, even the president? Who knows?
I know.
Maybe Donald Trump was breeded years and years ago when he was young. But this is just a conclusion I came up with. I said
Hillary too.
I said, oh my God.
It's a huge conspiracy.
I said, oh my God. It's like a domino effect. Great granddaddy was in law enforcement. Granddaddy, uncle, daddy, cousins.
Look at the civil rights movement. Who were sicking dogs on children? Who were the ones sicking dogs? There was some people coming up from under some bars doing that. Police officers doing that.
So
Mississippi Burning, those were police officers.
I thought about a movie I seen. I can't remember the movie. And I remember there was these big time dope dealers that wanted to know the routine and schedule of the police.
Right.
So they breeded this kid, made sure he went to school, made sure he didn't get in trouble, made sure his record.
That's what the Koch brothers do.
Made sure
he got in trouble.
Made sure his record was clean.
Right.
They didn't let him drive to even risk getting a ticket.
Right.
So they paid his way through college. So went through the academy. Got so many
They grew
awards,
him.
so many
Groomed him.
accolades. Then
Yeah.
he became an FBI agent.
Right.
Oh, when he became a federale, they had all the inside scoop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are big time dope dealers.
Right.
Yeah.
I look at the police as one of the biggest gangs in the world.
Yeah, of course.
Tupac,
You
said
know,
it best.
the only difference between the Crips and the police officers is the police wearing blue in uniform.
With a badge and a gun
With
and
a
license
badge
to
and
kill.
a, license to carry a gun.
Yes, yes, they do.
You understand what I'm saying? So
You're right,
I was like, wow, these white officers that's killing these young black brothers, period.
Yeah.
Maybe they were breeded
Yeah.
to do this. Maybe it's a type of war going on, and believe it or not, they're winning.
Out of sight. Yeah, it's out of
They're
sight.
winning. So I just wanted to put this on people's minds.
It's conspiracy.
It's a big conspiracy.
It's even more natural.
Sons
It's
of
more
liberty.
natural than that.
They
It's just what happens.
They are
It
breeding.
is.
Yeah.
They are
Racists
breeding.
have racist kids,
That's
and
right.
they have racist grandchildren.
They're breeding their young ones
how it
when they
works.
come out of mama's womb.
Right.
They're taking them when they turn 8, 9, 10 years old. They're taking them to gun ranges to get accurate. That's what
Those who
telling
don't
you.
join the police force, they go in the military. I promise you.
And
Go
then
over
they
there
go
and
to
kill
work and
some
come
of
back
them
and
saying
kill.
niggas.
Oh boy, we got to get out of here. Thank y'all for listening to us. Continue to pick up the Florida Star newspaper. Thank my guests. We'll see you next time, and thank you for the support. This is Opio, and we'll see you next time on Impact.
Get that one.